ridiculous time. It's going to get past 9 minutes to 7. It's approaching 7 o'clock. Oak, ash and birch are just some of the trees native to Britain. Over the years, other varieties have been imported, and while this adds diversity to our woodland, it can also bring problems in the form of pests and diseases.
Thomas Morgan is in Ledbury for us this morning, finding out what has been done to protect British trees. Morning to you.
Good morning. Well, I'm here just in the shadow of the Malvern Hills in the Wyvale nursery, where they grow almost 7.5 million seedlings each year. And just down here, I've got willow, which are just finishing their first year's growth, which will be ready to sell in around October or be replanted for next year. Now, the majority of what they grow and sell here originates from Britain. But over the years, we've had some issues with the amount we import from overseas.
So what we have here is a white fringe tree, which is a non-native tree. But what we've noticed is that it's got these rather severe dieback symptoms.
Alongside the white fringe, the mock privet and its narrow-leaved sibling are now another 3 species infected with ash dieback in the UK. It's a fungal disease where leaf loss and a slow death inhibits greenery. But in the heart of Gloucestershire, specialists from the Forestry Commission at Western Burt Arboretum are helping the process of saving those affected breeds.
So we've been researching not just the ash tree, but also the pathogen that causes ash dieback. And we've discovered quite high levels of tolerance in ash. So we're hopeful that in the future, we'll be able to select and breed tolerant ash trees so that we can replant.
Yet it's not just ash types that are at risk in the UK. According to the British Plant Health Register, there are around 1,000 pests and diseases across the UK, and around 30% of those pose a danger to the future of our trees. And many of those infecting our forests originate from abroad, which has led to the government last week putting a ban on certain types of oak trees from being imported into the UK. The number of pests and diseases coming into the UK that impact on trees has risen exponentially over the last few years. Have we been a bit slow in dealing with that issue?
We saw impacts 50 years ago with the introduction of Dutch elm disease, where elms have disappeared from many landscapes. So we are acting now to make sure that that doesn't happen to our most iconic tree species, particularly the oak.
Trees with ash dieback aren't usually taken down as the disease is so widespread, and when a new species develops symptoms with the disease, they're kept alive for monitoring and research purposes. But there are, of course, scenarios where trees with diseases are felled, say, for example, if the risk of spread is very great. But some local authorities are using new methods in a bid to save our trees. In London, a method called biochar technology is being used on charted oaks in Bexley. It's thought by injecting the ground around a tree with purified charcoal, soil quality improves, trees become healthier, and in turn, their defences are stronger to deal with potential diseases. And here, they've seen significant results.
So the charter oak this time last year had very pale yellow/green leaves, not immediately, but as soon as spring came round and it was in the first flush of its leaves, it was unrecognisable. It's dark shades of green, the limbs have started to lift up. It's just it looks like a brand new tree.
The science behind the reliability of methods like biochar are still up for debate, but the process of protecting our great woodlands has already begun. So as I mentioned here, the majority of what's grown and sold here in Wyvale are actually from Britain. Chris King, you're one of the managers here. Just tell me, you've seen actually a decline in the amount that you sell, of species that have come from overseas, haven't you?
Yeah, definitely. Imports are certainly at an all-time low, and we're selling a lot more UK grown stock. We're selling a lot of our own stock. And that's really good for our business and other nurseries in the UK.
And there's a danger, of course, if you were to, you do have some things that come from abroad, okay, but you're very careful and selective about what you take and what you sell.
Yeah, we work with very specific nurseries abroad. We have good relationships with them, and as I say, it's an all-time low, and it's something we'd like to cut out completely.
Holly, from the Woodland Trust, if you could just tell us, actually, a lot of this is now coming down to the public, isn't it? The choices that they make in terms of what they buy.
Absolutely. Members of the public will have a role to play in all of this. If they can actually start asking where their plants are coming from, we can see that change across the whole industry, right from the nurseries here, right down to the consumer who's actually buying plants and trees out in supermarkets. The more change we can have, the less imports we'll have, and the lower that risk is for plant health across the UK.
Do you think we've been a bit slow in dealing with certain types of diseases when they come to the UK, when we know that they're just around the corner in Europe, do you think?
I think we do certainly need to be more careful. If you look back at some of the pests and diseases that we've had come into the country in recent years, ash dieback being a really good example, we knew that was in Europe for several years. But actually, if we just tightened up controls and checked stock a little bit more, we would have reduced that risk and perhaps stopped having those things come into the country altogether. And then we don't have to play catch up further down the line.
Great, thank you. Holly and Chris, thank you very much. Well, the government has pledged to plant 11 million more trees to help the situation across the UK. But now let's get the news, weather and sport where you